So, hello to Link to the Tier. I will be your runner for the next couple of games here. So, first will be that Kirby's Adventure. This is a run called Enemies That Know Stone Glitch, and the very, you know what, let me just go ahead and get into it, and I'll let the game kind of explain itself. So, 3, 2, 1, go. So, real quick, we're gonna set up a little manip here. Hopefully this works out. Perfect. So, what makes this run what it is? This, as soon as I get the glitch part of it, will be kind of the bread and butter of this run. First, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take a hit on the same frame that I dropped the ability, and in doing so, I will keep UFO permanently. Like that. There we go. Perfect. Now I just need to not die. That's actually easily accomplished, though. See, now we're safe. So this is one of two, like, really big glitches in the game that kind of illustrate what this run is about. Like, if no major glitches is the tornado abilities, like, big thing, this one is absolutely UFOs. You just use this for, honestly, most of the game. UFO is incredibly powerful. You have four attacks. You have a beam, a laser, a single star, and a double star. As you'd expect, this is purposefully really powerful, and the devs didn't really want you carrying it elsewhere. So normally, this ability is gone when you leave the stage. But because we have a glitch where if we lose the ability on the same frame that we drop it, Kirby keeps it if it's something that changes his form. So, for example, if UFO changes what Kirby looks like, it means Kirby gets to say it's this. If we had, like, Sword, Kirby would keep Sword. If we had anything else, Kirby still technically keeps an ability, but it does nothing. Anyways, a lot of this run is generally ladder dungeon, because this is a very late NES game. There's lots of stuff that can go on and lots of effects, and all of these slow the game down. Same for the enemies, so you'll see me just fire lasers at a lot of enemies almost seemingly randomly, and that is just to get rid of them. That is to get rid of them so we have less lag, and just kind of make our little trek as smooth as we can. So a lot of these stages are just gonna zip by, because I'm gonna, like, oh, there's a mini-boss? Yeah, it's dead. And likewise for this, we're just gonna go up this tree real quick, we're gonna keep going, we don't need the candy, although Meta Knight is very nice for giving us that. Trust me, where we're going, we don't need candy. Anyways, just kind of give some more history of the run. This run did used to be called 80% UFO for this reason, because this was the big thing about it. We've changed the name since then because there is more than one, like, really big glitch to use. Also, that was Wispy Woods. I hope you enjoyed it for the length of 5 seconds he was able to actually do anything. And if not, well, don't worry, he's done now. You know, back to, lasering through enemies and going through coconuts. And sometimes eating inputs. Unfortunately, this game likes to eat inputs sometimes. The game has a weird priority for what it, accepts. And it tends to prioritize Kirby's animations over more important things like jumping. Also, you might notice I don't use the beam attack much, and that is largely because beam is unfortunately kind of laggy, and while it definitely works for the few situations it comes up, most of the time you don't want it just because, oh, it's gonna make more lag, it's gonna make the matter worse. By the way, that mini-boss was called, Drain Wheelie. Have I mentioned that UFO is kind of overpowered? It kinda just kills mini-bosses and bosses very quickly. Alright, now for the now to illustrate the reason why this is called no stone glitch instead of UFO. So I'm just gonna do this real quick. And we got the first try perfect. Alright, so that was very quick, and to explain what the hell just happened, this thing gets very weird when you pause the game on the same frame that an enemy loads. Short version, things just kinda get wonky. Walls largely become a suggestion as everything bugs out. And in a case like this, the enemy gets to move while the game is paused when I do that. If the enemy collides with Kirby, Kirby gets to move. Which means I can then, fly straight up slightly, see a wall, and then fly through said wall and skip a large portion of the stage, and one of the areas where I would otherwise have to drop UFO. In earlier runs of this category, that was a very rough stage to actually go through, because you would have to drop UFO, go through the underwater segment, get UFO back before that, and then do the same thing you did in 1-1, collide to enemy at the same frame deal. It honestly ended a lot of runs early on, and now it's still ends a lot of runs early on, because if you don't get the frame perfect trick, it's still gonna be rough, but it's a lot more manageable when you don't have to drop UFO. And by the way, that is not the last you will see of that glitch. That glitch comes up several times in the run. There's 3 big ones. And each of those will worth trying for multiple times, and then there's a couple where they save a lot of time if you get them, and if you don't, they either don't lose you much time, or they pretty much break even, so it ends up being worth it to not do it more than once. You will see an instance of that coming up a couple times. In the meantime, I'm just gonna keep going here. I'm gonna beat my way through these blocks. That is actually the fastest way to get through those. Laser a few apples to create a measure, because, we don't like them. Don't want them. And now for our second boss, so this is Paint Roller. He tends to make drawings that'll come to life and come after you. Unfortunately, we have UFO, and that doesn't matter. It's kind of sad. Paint Roller actually has a few interesting moves and abilities he can drop for you, and unsurprisingly, we just kind of get rid of them. Did not get that one, that's okay. If we had gotten that particular, collision glitch, we would have been able to skip that room. If you get it, it saves like 3 seconds, I think, and you lose like 1 if you don't get it. So not a big deal that we didn't get it, it's kind of whatever. And there's also one in this stage that's kind of in that same vein of try it once maybe, but it actually loses you more time if you don't get it. I'm gonna try to get it this run. We'll see if we get it. I know how to do it. I'm just not very good at landing it most times. Again, these are frame perfect. These are inherently difficult, and I actually killed the enemy, so I'm not gonna bother. Since I need to kill the enemy below where Kirby was, so I did make it respawn. Otherwise it stays there, and I can't actually do anything. By the way, that's Bugsy. He wanted to grab me, and I don't want him to grab me. But yeah, as I started going through this stage where I'm gonna have to actually drop UFO because UFO's one weakness is ladders. It cannot go down ladders. So we're gonna have to kind of improvise a little, grab high jump so we did get some movement. And then we're gonna mix for it again and do what we did in 1-1. Okay, great, we got that first try. Didn't get that first try, but that's okay. I have an easy way of trying it again. So this may take a few attempts. In the meantime, as I'm trying to do that, if you've liked anything you've seen both in this run and any of the previous ones, consider donating to Child's Play. Also, I'm gonna get a tomato in this stage, just unfortunately, the frame perfect for it does not want to play nice right now. So I'm just gonna do that for my own safety. That is the wrong room. Okay, now we got it. Sometimes that can be very finicky because you have to line Kirby up, and I've mentioned enough times, it's just hard. It's a hard trick. But we got it. We're good now. We won't have to worry about dropping UFO again until quite a bit later. Thankfully. Also, look, it's that weird guy with a sword again. Wonder what he wants. I almost forgot my order. One of the few times where we actually damage boots because it is slightly faster to have Kirby just ram his noggin into the enemy and keep going. Also, that wind room is harder than it looks. It is very easy to spend like 20 seconds trying to get into the door. Doors in this game and in this series in general really are kind of weird. Sometimes they're great and they work really nicely, and other times they hate you and don't want you to go through them ever. There's really no in-between. Also, this is Bonkers, and that was Bonkers. He's very fond of his hammer and likes to smash you in the head with it. Don't let him. Also, I saw in the chat that their subscriptions also go towards Child's Play, in which case, also consider subscribing to them if you want to do that instead. In the meantime, we're gonna stay calm and keep flying. And have a door kinda not want me to go through. It happens. Few more enemies lasered. Go to our next boss fight. Which our next one is kind of a dual boss. They are Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright, a sun and a moon. Normally we'd be trying to pick a side here, but we have UFO, so we don't need to. We do, however, need to time our shots, so they actually take the hit. Now, there is a thought that might have crossed my mind, like, okay, we've seen the ability, but we haven't seen the enemy. Well, here we go. We finally see the first, not the hidden instance of UFO. There are actually two others that are hidden. One has a hidden room in the waterfall. that that actually has a UFO enemy. And then 2-3 also has a room that you could go to with a UFO enemy inside. It's how we get it back in before we learned about the pause glitch. But if you don't know about those, or you don't just get lucky from a mix, or just know how to get it in the mix, the only way you're getting it is, the first enemy you see with it is that one there in 4-1. Those enemies are actually very annoying, they're very erratic, they like moving all over the place, and they're just kind of not fun to deal with. Put a pin in that. It'll be very important. That'll be a important detail later. Also, this enemy needs to, let me attack. Thank you. So normally, the one on the left is supposed to jump away from me, and, we found the one that was very bold and brazen and did not want to do that. And that made fighting him a hell of a lot more awkward than it really needed to be. That was fine, we have plenty of health. Honestly, I'm not too worried about this currently. I do need to be careful, though. If I die, obviously, I lose UFO. Because Kirby's in this weird state where he has an ability, but doesn't. The game kind of acts like he doesn't, by, like, oh, Kirby's normal, he doesn't have an ability. But clearly we do, otherwise, how am I doing all of this? But, for example, if I press select, Kirby will actually lose the ability. And then I'll actually be, you know, properly normal. Likewise if Kirby dies, because technically he does have an ability, he does lose it when he dies. And then we have to go through the process of getting this back. And obviously, no, we don't want to do that. Also, time for another mini-boss. This one is called Rollin' Turtle. It's a turtle that rolls. I hope that, explains things for you. Seriously, just literally rolling around, he's so cute. Until he, you know, grabs you and throws you. Because for some reason, Rollin' Turtle likes to throw you. We're also about to come up to our next bout with the weird sword guy and his friends. And this one has a little bit of RNG to it, but we should be able to deal with it pretty easily. Perfect. That was the only RNG I had to worry about in this fight. So the way those fights work is the enemies appear in a very set order. And if we know that order, we can kind of very quickly get rid of them, because we just fire where they're coming, pretty much. Or in a case like that, where there is a little bit RNG, the javelin ones like to move on a kind of weird pattern. We try to time the shot so it doesn't get to really go anywhere, and ideally it doesn't. It goes up a little bit like you saw, and it's gone. If that doesn't happen, it can get interesting. By the way, I don't think I ever said about that mini-boss, that one's name is Mr. TikTok. You know, shows you the plot. Strangely enough, it gives you the mic ability. Kirby game. Don't ask me why an alarm clock gives you, I hesitate to say themed-in abilities, since Kirby's themed-in is, legendary for all the wrong reasons, and probably all the right reasons, depending on your, thoughts on that. By the way, this is Traco. He'll actually get you an attack. I didn't say he would get to hit me. Trust me when I say Traco is actually a lot worse in most other categories. Yovo just makes that very trivial for the obvious reasons. Because normally Traco does attacks like, you know, the whole lightning thing that you just saw. He'll swoop around from side to side. He'll drop Starman at you. That's like this main means of when you fight back. And he's a very big target, so he's also very hard. He's easy to hit, but also hard to dodge. Also, it's a good friend ladder, again. But that's fine. We're about to, just break the stage over our knee real quick. And provided I get it in the get what I want to do in the next room, we're gonna skip like half the stage. Enemies loaded. Jump away. I'm looking for a very specific, part of Kirby on the door. I got it. Right, so... if we did this stage normally, there's several rooms you have to go through, and a mini-boss. And all of it is just to get to the door below you. But we have the pause collision glitch, so we can ram into the enemy below us. Skip all of that nonsense, and just go straight to the end of the stage. Done first try, it saves something like 30 seconds. It is actually a giant time save. Anyways, we're gonna get Yovo back. And perfect, got that first try. So the other way you can do the ability glitch is to leave the stage and drop the ability on the same frame. And you can even more easily tell when you get this, just Kirby will drop the ability but still have the form needed. So for example, like, you saw the little star and then Kirby was still Yovo. That meant I had it. If it was like sword, parasol, or hammer, it'd be kind of the same deal. It's a little bit harder if Kirby has anything else, and again, you don't really want that anyways, you don't get anything out of it, other than, Kirby does a neat little splash effect. And if you played this game as a kid, or even recently on, Switch, you'll know this room is kind of infamous. Yovo makes it very easy. Because we can just fine-tune our movements, and we don't have to ever worry about spikes. Unless we mess up our movement. I've done that a few times. Likewise for this one, which is our, horizontal spike corridor. And also similarly, a complete non-issue. In fact, the game's even nice, it gives us a 1-up. Also, I don't know about y'all, but it's starting to get tired of this sword guy and his friends. I swear, if I see him one more time, I'm gonna show him what for. And yes, we are just gonna... And by the way, yes, we are about to just paint the enemies. We actually are fine on health. And honestly, it's very tricky if you try to, like, avoid them. Now, as I start making my way through this stage, let me just bring up another thing. But you've noticed that, oh, walls are kind of a suggestion when you pause the game. And, obviously, it holds true. What if I said that that applies to more than, when the game is paused? So, preface what's about to happen, slopes are weird. Slopes are weird. Slopes are weird, and we just did the mini-boss. That's a very technical explanation, but the short version is... Slopes are kind of a suggestion in this game, and there's ways to flip through them. And, yeah, we just do that to flip through that entire section. It's just a single room with a Fire Lion mini-boss, and that's it. Which, is still quick. We would have killed in, like, 2 hits as usual, but... it's also faster if we just don't fight him at all, and just leave. just take our UFO and fly home. That is probably the only time you're going to see the slopes come up. You might see it in another stage, but that one won't be intentional. Again, slopes are weird. And that was Heavy Mole. Heavy Mole likes the did. It can have some very erratic patterns when it's on low health. Trust me, if you play this game casually, some of these fights can actually be very tricky and honestly a little difficult at times. UFO just makes it look easy. I mean, some of that's because it is, but the point remains, unless you're doing this deliberately, you probably are gonna have a harder time casually. And provided I get this, I don't know how many have seen this during my AGDQ run. But if you did and if you didn't, so this stage also has a collision glitch, and I wasn't able to get it because it's a little hard to line up. I'm gonna try it a few times though. That's fine. Alright, third try is good. And here we go. Okay, that will mess up my movement, but that's fine. So yeah, the game really doesn't like it when you're doing this glitch. Like that, it just, everything just, garbage is thrown up on the screen as you move it around, because it's trying to load wall data that isn't there, or is in different spots, like you've noticed in 5.2, like, I said about a door below me, but it went up. Yeah, so that door is actually above Kirby in that specific situation. In this case, it's just navigating the room almost as is, but in a way where we have less walls to deal with. We can, however, end up getting ourselves in a wall with bad movement, and we can actually... I'm not gonna say soft lock, because you don't really... There's only a handful, like, soft lock situations that exist, but we would lose UFO if we, messed up. I really wanted to show that one off during that run. Because I think that's probably my favorite form of that glitch showing up. Just because of how completely messed up the pause tree gets in the process. By the way, if you thought we were done with the collision glitch, I'm very proud to announce that no, we're not. So that skips a giant portion of this room. And so for like 20 seconds. Unfortunately, our coconut run could have gone a little better. I didn't actually start targeting my attack in time. But it's fine, these things happen. Also, it's a marathon run. I am not especially worried here. I am worried about you, though. I don't like the lag. Get away from me, please. I'm gonna play it safe here and grab this tomato to take out this laser ball real fast. I'm not that worried about dying. I just don't want to take the chance if I don't have to. In a couple of rooms from now, you're going to see exactly what I mean and why I'm like, I want to be careful. It's not this room. This room's whatever. We're just trying to fly over the enemies as we always do. This room, no. This is the room I like to call the UFO family reunion. There are lots of these enemies around. They are really, I have mentioned before, they are very erratic in their movements, and it honestly really sucks to have to deal with them, and I have definitely died in that room multiple times. It's not fun. And trying to do that on, say, anything under 3 health is kind of a death sentence. Alright, I'm about to show this guy what for. I've had enough of the sword die shenanigans. So it is time to, I want to talk. I just want to talk. See, he does too. Alright. You know him, you love him. It's Meta Knight. He's kind of really rough in this game. He's those quote-unquote friends of his are the Meta Knights. And they all have names based on their weapons. So there's like Mace Knight, there's Spear Knight, Javelin Knight, you know, so on. Also, Meta Knight insists that we fight with a sword, so we have no choice in the matter and must take the sword. Don't worry, in this game, don't worry, you'll get your ability back afterwards, so you'll see that we're actually, our UFO is perfectly intact. So you nothing to worry about. But yeah, he shows up in each of the worlds from 2 onward. Effectively, the test Kirby is the canon reason he's doing it all. I'm gonna try to get over here before that enemy hits me. Good. But that's the last time we see him. He's done. He's done. We're about to take the fight to the good king. But in the process, we do have to get rid of a lot more minions. So here's a mini boss rush. That's gonna be very quick. Everything dies in 2 hits. And I mean everything. Okay, I need Bugsy to move. Thank you. So there's Fire Lion. There's me moving too close. Also, that 1-up is deliberate. We grabbed that for live production because for some weird reason, the devs accidentally cloned it, and there's actually 2 1-ups there, and for some reason that makes more lag. Kind of more of what we've been doing, killing enemies for live production. And in this case, just trying to head out of there, because that also works to reduce lag. If the enemies are just out of the room, then we don't have to worry. Anyways, we're done with the easy stages for a moment. It's time to actually have a challenge. So 7-4 is what a lot of us call the Bad Mario Maker room, because for some reason, the dev decided to have loads of enemies in here. I made that look far easier than it actually is. Because it is entirely too easy to take damage in that room. Usually a lot of it. And even with UFO, as good as it is, that is the room that'll absolutely test your movement and ability to use the laser attack. Because if you're not good at either, you are in for a very rough time. And trust me, I have had plenty of runs where I took a lot more than 1 hit. I've had runs where I've like gone like full health to near dead. Anyway, that was a fun challenge. Back to, easy stuff. Ish. Hope you enjoyed Brain Wheelie for the 2 seconds and actually got to try to attack. Also, I hope you enjoyed these parties, generating a lot of lag, because... Of course they do. Those in Hotheads, the weird little fire dragon-looking thing, I guess. They're the worst ones for it. The fire attack and the electrical attack just generate a lot of particles, and then the NES does struggle a bit to handle that. Or, you know, whatever you're playing the game on. But we're doing the end here. We're gonna make our way through this little stage that's meant to be a giant nod to Kirby's Dream Land. That was the name that came before this one. And honestly, it's a very neat little throwback. Like, everything's in black and white except for Kirby. Has a little beam attack, but you know what? I don't mind it. Damage through that Starfy, so we just speed through the rest of them. Fun fact, if you're unfamiliar with this game, that moon up above is a secret room. However, it's slow to go through it if you don't need it, so we're not doing it. Anyways, here's DDD. He takes 4 hits. And that was DDD. He, really wanted me. But he wasn't the problem. He was trying to keep us safe. And now we've awakened the actual problem, and now we must deal with it. So this is Nightmare, or the orb form. You know, obvious reference is obvious, or obvious meme is obvious. All of these attacks are a set pattern, or mostly set. So it's really just about timing my attacks, and yeah, that's a little too early. If you do this in a specific way, you can also soft lock the game for several minutes by making this wrap around for a very long time. It is very interesting and very funny when it happens. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, I fight him way too quickly to actually get it. But we're not done with Nightmare. Now we have the Wizard form, or the 80s bargain bin. Like Orb, his attacks are a set pattern. So it's just a matter of knowing where to move, where to go, and then how to actually attack that. Unfortunately, I missed one, so we're gonna lose a few seconds, but that's not a big deal. As long as we don't miss the next one, we're good. If we miss the next one, we lose like 13 seconds total. Okay, good. Okay, he's gonna flip up. We hit him again. And time will be coming up on this next hit here. Time. So, that is the end of Nightmare. And for your fun bit of Kirby trivia for today, take a look at the moon. Yeah, so it stays like that ever since in the series. This is why. But yeah, that was Kirby's Adventure, any percent no stone glitch. Honestly, a very fun run. Definitely recommend it. We do have a Discord, but I won't say too much right now because this isn't the only run we'll be doing. As you saw, we're also doing Nightmare in Dreamland. That's going to be Meta Nightmare. So we need to go through all of this as Meta Knight, except for Nightmare because we don't fight them. But yeah, thanks for the GGs. Sit tight, and yeah, we'll probably be back very briefly with the next game.